Hello and welcome to the show. We're living in an amazing time at the moment where it seems that cameras of amazing specification are coming out constantly. We've seen innovation from Canon with the EOS R, we've seen it with Fujifilm with the Xqd, and I'm sure this isn't the end of it. But I'm pleased to say today, here we have the new Nikon Z. So this is the Z7 we have here. There's also, of course, the Z6. So two mirrorless full frame models from Nikon. Something that you guys have been waiting for a long time. So let's run through the specs. There's two models in the lineup, the Z7 and the Z6. The Z6 being the all-rounder at 24 megapixels and the Z7 being the high megapixel monster at 45 megapixels. The actual cameras themselves are identical in every way other than that. You've got the really familiar Nikon feel and grip. So coming over from your existing Nikon DSLR like a D500 or a D850, you pick this up, you're going to feel instantly at home. The buttons, they look very familiar, and the layout is also extremely similar. You have a great EVF on here, 3.2 million dot EVF with absolutely no lag or slowdown. So even when you're focusing, it just responds and it looks so clean. I'm really impressed with it. Obviously, slightly lower than what we've seen on the Canon EOS R, but you really can't notice. Honestly, it's so clear, crisp and fast. It's a great piece of kit, very well refined. We also have a rear LCD which tilts down and tilts up. 3.2 inch, also a touchscreen. Obviously the body feels really tough, weather sealed, really hard wearing, nice piece of kit. And of course, this is what's been causing the controversy, Xqd Slot, single Xqd slot. Now, Xqd, obviously it's a system of card management that people perhaps haven't used before, not very familiar with, and it's a bit limited. But all is not lost. There's actually Compact Flash Express coming out soon. So that physically is the same size as an Xqd card, and a future firmware update will enable Nikon Z series users to use that new system. So really great positive news in this respect. Now, looking inside the body, we've got 5-axis image stabilization. So video shooters are going to be really well covered here, and they haven't stopped there. Internal 4K at 30 frames per second. Really nice, clean 4K video. So we'll definitely go out and try that in a moment and show you some samples. But the 5-axis image stabilization is definitely a boon, along with the phase detect onboard sensor focusing. So obviously we've seen this dual pixel AF technology from Canon, but now it's here in a Nikon for the first time. So shooting video with this guy is going to be a real treat. Speaking of video as well, this will do 10-bit 422 out via the HDMI to an external recorder. So this is the first full frame camera mirrorless that will do those kind of outputs, which is really good news again for the video shooter. Back to the still shooter guys, AF system on these is really good. The Z7 actually has the higher amount of AF points at 493. The Z6 coming in at 273, but it's still a really good spread across 90% of the sensor. 9 frames per second shooting in the Z7 against 12 frames per second in the Z6. So overall, a really well put together package. We'll do a close-up now, we'll switch view so you can have a quick look at the controls, then we'll go out and do some shooting. So let's switch perspectives now.
So, the new Z7 from Nikon, a really refreshing take on what the Nikon interchangeable lens camera should look like. It's very modern, but retains a lot of those old features that DSLR shooters will be familiar with, like the red flash on the grip, the on-off button and the shutter release there, but with new features such as that negative LCD and the customizable thumb wheel there for exposure compensation and things like that. The body itself is a really well weighed, rugged magnesium alloy finished in black. So moving around the back, we can see the large 3.2 inch LCD screen along with that EVF. Now this EVF is a 3.2 million dot EVF, slightly lower count than what we've seen from the competitors, but still the refresh rate was really high and it performed flawlessly. As you can see there, the HDMI and USB inputs are under a removable rubberized cover, and around the front we've got a couple of customizable function buttons too. So this camera is really customizable, lets you set it up exactly how you want to use it. There is a variable tilt LCD rear screen, which obviously makes shooting low angles and high angles very useful. Here's the source of controversy, the single Xqd card slot. But don't fear, Mr. Nikon told me about a new format, Compact Flash Express, that is coming out soon, which will share the same physical characteristics as the Xqd card, but should hopefully be a bit more readily available. And finally, let's have a look at that all-new mount, the new Z mount from Nikon. Now, this is a much bigger mount than the old F mount at 55mm, one of the largest lens mounts in the business.